the FNL Network talk show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FNL Network talk show. I'm your host tonight, Marianne Estridge, and today we have with us the lovely Eugenia, the beautiful Emily, and the fabulous Jeff. How is everybody doing today?
I am doing well.
So good, just happy and grateful for every day.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Great here too. So good day.
Yeah.
It's a good day.
Emily, it's been a long time since we've seen you.
I know, recovering from surgery. I don't bounce back like I used to. So
I know the feeling.
A lot longer to heal, but I'm healed. Thank goodness. Thank you, Jesus, for that. And I'm back to my old self again. And would not want to go through that again. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm sure. I'm sure.
So I heard it was my appendix is what it was, appendicitis. And so I heard all these different stories like, oh, I had my appendix taken out and I was back to work in 5 days. I'm like, oh, this is no big deal. No, mine ruptured and it was bad. So probably took about a good 8 weeks to get over that. But then I had another issue that happened and I had to have another surgery. But all in all, it's all good. And I'm great, back to my normal self. So 3 months later.
I'm so glad. That's not 3 months. That's a long time.
It was. But last 2 weeks, it's been the best feeling ever. So glad it's over with.
Me too. Well, everyone, I've got a few interesting topics for this week. They're pretty lighthearted. So the first one's going to be, what was one of your most embarrassing moments? Second one is going to be, if there was something you could change about your past life experiences, what would it be? And the third one would be, as a child, what did you imagine your adulthood would look like? And does it look the way you imagined, or does it look different? So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one. Your most embarrassing moment, or one of your most embarrassing moments. Feel free to just share what it was. It's meant to be funny. I know mine's pretty funny, but I'm going to go ahead and start with Jeff.
Yes, Jeff, I put my head down like she was a school teacher. Don't call on me.
Okay. So my most embarrassing moment, well, actually it's supposed to have been funny, but it didn't turn out that way. I actually went in, when I was younger, I went and got my nose pierced. And the joke was for me to get it done. So I thought it was funny, and I walked into the house and I told my mom, and I was like, I didn't really tell her. It was weird. I kind of walked in and she kept looking at me and she was just like, what is that? What's that on your nose? And I was like, I got my nose pierced, Mom. And quick as she said it, she backhanded me, and the piercing flew out. And I went to look for it. And by the time I try to look for it, it can't come out within that 24 hours. The whole head closed up. And I was hot. I was like, oh my God, it's closed up. I can't get the piercing back in. And they were laughing at me. I was like, it's not funny. Yeah, that was very hilarious. So the joke was on me. At the end.
Meet the Fockers. Yeah. It wasn't a piercing, but that's right. You watched that movie.
Yeah,
Jeff, how old were you then?
I thought it was about 15 or 16. I did some weird stuff when I was young. I had a gold tooth. I did crazy stuff. I
love that stuff.
I was just the over-the-top kid. I just always like to be out of the box. So when I did the nose piercing, everybody's like, I don't believe you do. I said, I do it. So I did it. It was a joke. And I walked in the house. My mom kept looking at me and they was like laughing. And she looked at me closer and she's like, what is that in your nose? I said, it's a piercing, Mom. And boom, the piercing flew out. I was like, oh my God, you're not the piercing up my nose. What in the world? And could not put it in.
You're such a rebel. What's your sign? I'm so curious.
Taurus.
Taurus.
Oh, okay.
Me and Jeff are both Taurus. My birthday's 3 days before his.
I am up for adventure all the time. It's challenging. I just like the challenge. I've always been like that. Even though I'm not a challenge. So that was my funny moment.
That's hilarious. Oh man, I wish I could have seen that.
I could see your mom slapping you. Like
Yeah,
I could
my mom
feel it.
Very conservative. She did not like the crazy stuff.
Mm. How about Eugenia? Let's go with you. What was your most embarrassing moment?
Well, my whole life. It's called being a comedian. I don't know. I think I never, like, it's never a funny thing. It's usually something that people make fun of you, like Jeff said, you know, which is, it's very interesting to go through these moments. But it started in school. I basically also grew up in a very like conservative, strict home, and it was post-Soviet Russia. We're supposed to wear uniforms. So I decided to cut my uniforms into bikini because it was very bright. Then I had to apologize to the whole school and Soviet regime, you know, for misbehaving. So it started there, you know, I knew that I wouldn't fit quite in the system. And then when I was modeling, basically one time I was so excited to be hired for Dior show. I was so excited.
Oh, wow.
You know, a lot of times you, Jeff, know, like you have to go as a model through so many castings and fittings, and it's a big deal, right? Like till like 4 a.m. So I was there and we're supposed to walk out, and it's all this like excitement and, you know, rush like of adrenaline, and everybody's backstage like about to go on. And I decided to go to the powder room really fast, and my door got stuck. And basically I didn't walk the show. I didn't walk the show because nobody could find me. And I was so upset. I was crying, you know, you know how it is. It's like you have to walk really fast. And recently, I mean, not so recently, but when I started acting, I had a super embarrassing moment because, you know, like I was very entitled when I started acting. I somehow got this film with Zac Efron and, you know, like whatever, playing a bartender. And I never bartended in my whole life. I mean, I don't even know how I got that job. So I had no idea how to clean glasses and do things. And when we're shooting our scene, it was like at midnight. And I just kept like making noises and like not, you know, almost like breaking glasses. And Zach was like, you know what, like this scene is not that important. Let's just move on. And I was so pissed. I was really upset. So at the closing party for the movie, we celebrated in New York in like a bar, right? And all the stars are there. And I walk past the bar, behind the bar, and I'm like, I'm gonna then prove everybody that I can bartend, right? So I started making drinks only to be escorted by security, because in New York, obviously, you can't bartend without the license. I was so embarrassed. Like not to be part of the film, to be fired, and then to be part of the party, you know, almost like in jail. And I went and I got my bartending license just to prove that I can come back. But I think life is funny, you know. I think you can't take it too seriously, and you know, thank God for those moments, like to laugh at self and like not be too serious.
Yeah. That was good.
Yes, most definitely.
You have to. I was thinking of risky business too, like with Tom Hanks. Oh my gosh, Tom Cruise. Wasn't a risky business where he's flipping the bottles around and everything?
Yes. Wow. How about you, Emily?
Oh my goodness. Okay, with my most embarrassing, I have like 2 or 3. But my most embarrassing moment happened when I was 15 years old. I couldn't drive. Now, I grew up in church, but we got away from church. And then I went into performing arts, and I did a lot of plays here locally at our Paramount and things like that. So at 15 years old, I had a friend of mine at school says, Emily, can you help us with our church play, Christmas play? It's only 3 roles, like older kids, and then in between each scene, the kids would sing like Christmas carols, you know? So I said, well, I don't know. When is this? He's like, well, we're going to do our first show in 3 days. And I was like, okay, well, let me see. And he's like, I know you do all this. You can memorize lines fast. And I did. I memorized it. I stepped in. I helped. His name was Philip. out, and the girl that was supposed to do it was sick. So my mom drives me to the church. I'm sorry, this is so embarrassing. I actually wrote a short story about this and it was published at my university, Ohio University. So I called it Falling Star. So anyway, so my mom, she's like, oh, there's a lot of cars in the parking lot. Do you want me to stay? And I was like, nah, this will be all right. Come pick me up in 2 hours. So I walk in, we're doing like a little run through really quickly. The place, I did not know that church Christmas plays were that popular. Like this whole place was packed. People were standing up against the walls. The balcony was full, cameras everywhere. I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, that's exactly, oh my goodness. So anyway, we get ready to start the play, and it's my first scene coming out on the stage with the two other older teens, you know, and I trip over a cord. And I fell and I grabbed the backdrop. Oh my gosh. The whole backdrop came down with it when I fell, and the whole crowd just went, oh, like that. And it was dead silence.
Oh my God.
Well,
oh man.
Listen, I just heard the crowd go, oh, like that. And so I didn't know what to do. So I got up on my hands and knees and I crawled off the stage backwards. And then I went to the bathroom, and the Philip guy that I was helping, he comes to because he was one of the older teenagers, you know, it comes to the bathroom. I'm crying. I'm mortified. And I can hear the pastor is like, we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute recess. It just started. And I was like, oh, they're setting everything back up. And Philip was like, the show must go on. And I was crying. I was like, how am I going to do this? I cannot do this. So just do it. So I finally got the courage. I went back out. When I went back out, they all applauded me before I even said my first line. But that was so embarrassing to me. And it was just, I mean, I took that whole backdrop down, the whole thing down. So in the crowd going, oh, and dead quiet. 15 years old.
I think it's fun to see it in the film.
Yeah.
Reenactment.
Oh, we got it. I have it. I have the clips and stuff, and I've only watched it one time. And my mom and dad, they've watched it several times. All of them laughing all the time about it. I'm like, I only watched it once. I don't want to watch it again. You keep it over at your house, Mom and Dad.
Oh my goodness. That's pretty embarrassing.
It was embarrassing.
I can understand you being embarrassed. Wow.
Yeah.
Those are some good ones. I guess it's my turn. I got a couple. So the first one that stands out the most, I was in high school and I was a cross-country team runner, and I was doing a long run that weekend. So I went to a public park and I was doing a 10-mile run. So the public park had a public bathroom. I think everybody knows where this might be going. So I went running. I had run 9 3/4 miles. And these two elderly men were walking just with their little walking sticks, and they said, "Great job, young lady. How much longer do you have?" And I said, 1/4 mile. And I thought, I got to make it to the bathroom. I got to go. I have to go now. Well, now wouldn't wait. So I ended up in someone's backyard going to the bathroom.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because there were houses all around the lake. And so it was a public lake, but it was, surrounded by people's homes. So I ended up in Joe whoever's backyard. And let me just say that I didn't quite make it in time. So, yeah, I didn't make it in time. So I was able to go some, but I already went before I got to Mr. Joe's yard.
Oh
I was humiliated. I was one humiliated 17-year-old. I didn't know what to do.
I just want to know. I just want to know.
Back to my car. Huh?
There's going to be secret footage come out after. There's going to be secret footage come out after this show.
I'm telling you, it was. I was crying, but looking back now, it's funny. I was crying and I was walking back to my car, and I had to get plastic grocery bags out of my trunk and sit on them all the way home. I drove home sobbing. I'm telling you, if that takes the cake of my number one most embarrassing moment. One other I have, and I'll make it quick, was I was 14 and I did not have a driver's license, obviously. And my parents were out of town. And I decided to take my dad's Oldsmobile for a little ride. So took one of the neighborhood kids home and proceeded to hit somebody else's car. 14 years old. I hit their car and it was going in a circle and bam, I hit somebody's Ford Explorer. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. It was too late. People were running out of that house toward me. One of them had a chicken leg in their hand. They were pissed. They were pissed. They were so mad. And I was sitting there terrified by myself. I had just hit this guy's car. They called the police and I'm sitting there shaking. And I said, am I going to get in trouble? And the cop got mad and he goes, I could put you in juvenile hall for this, but I'm not going to. You know, I didn't have a record, but I was so humiliated and my parents were furious. And when they got home, they settled with the people and they paid out of pocket for their bumper that was messed up.
It's like Oldsmobile probably wasn't touched, was it?
No.
The Oldsmobile was perfect.
No, it was
You would never know. Those Oldsmobiles, man, they last.
1988 Oldsmobile. And so that was my other embarrassing moment. And I was in trouble for a long time after that. So that's mine for my top two.
Super funny.
I think we've all had embarrassing moments now, so I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't. Lord, no. I'm going to move on to our second topic, and that is, if there was something you could change about your past life experiences, what would it be? And I'm going to start with Eugenia.
I'm like, past life or like past life? Past life.
Let me clarify. Your past in this life.
Yeah, this life, obviously. You know, my mind goes in so many directions, but yeah, you know, I think every experience, I'm grateful for it. You know, I work with a lot of healers and therapy, and, you know, when you are in the arts doing acting, it's kind of like a therapy as well. So, you know, I definitely learned that everything, the consequences, like it's my responsibility and I don't want to be a victim. And I think it's very important, you know, to take responsibility for your actions. But one thing I would say that I learned that I wish I'd done a little bit more of is just trust my instinct all the time. You know, because heart really knows the way, like it's so much more profound. You know, I learned at some point that your heart is the last thing, like when you die, your heart goes out, you know, you can be brain dead and still your heart is alive. So it is a very important frequency that like it knows, you know, you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your heart. And I think it took me a while, you know, when I started modeling, I was the sole provider in my family and I was so desperate to like get the jobs and people please. I kind of, you know, stopped trusting myself and went into my head and did all decisions out of like logic and, you know, whatever was needed to do. But after having kids, I think kids give you that amazing opportunity to really, you know, fall in love back with, you know, with what is real and what is in the moment. and just trust that intuition, because nobody, like kids have that. They live in the moment. So I definitely, preach everybody, like go and explore and like trust your instinct, whatever you feel. Like feelings do matter. So yeah, that's I think one thing that I learned.
I love that. And I absolutely agree. I think a lot of us can ignore our gut instinct, and when in reality we should be paying a lot of attention to it. So I think that's wonderful. How about you, Emily?
Well, I want to go off what Eugenia said, is that when I had my son, my relationship with my parents, especially my mother, completely changed. And I understood everything that she tried to help me with growing up. So, especially with relationships, mama knows best is in my experience. And, if I could take anything back, which I'm happy that I went through the things that I went through, but I dated one guy all through high school up until I was 21 years old. I gave up a college scholarship playing basketball to go to Bible college because he wanted to be in full-time ministry and things. And then long story short, he was cheating on me and things. And my mom was telling me the whole time, like, you need to date other people. You need to, go and just hang out with them as friends, all that stuff. And I was just dead set on this one person all my life. So I kind of do regret it, but God always turns bad experiences around for the good. So in Bible college, especially, my relationship is still great with God and everything now, but especially in Bible college, I got so close to him. It was like prayer without ceasing. And it was a continued communication. It felt like in the spirit with God, Jesus. And so yes, I was hurt. Yes, I should have listened to my mom. Yes, I probably should have taken that basketball scholarship. But all in all, I grew spiritually, which I think is the most important, because that stuck with me the longest. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but if I would regret, no, I would not date that Jay guy. The Jay is his name. I would not date Jay. I should have not ever dated Jay.
Yeah, I got a lot of those.
It's so funny, to add on this, like I think Hollywood is not helping with like creating all these movies about, the way romantic love is and, how we get addicted. Like I wrote a whole set on like love is an addiction, because it is in some way, there's like 9 different kinds of love, and that type of love, I think your hormones just go crazy and you crave that person. Like you don't have any reason. It literally, your body is literally addicted, so yeah. I think it's so important for people to understand that.
Well, trauma bond is occurs, the push-pull effect over time. Like my high school sweetheart is what I would call him, but we would break up at times. He's much older than me. And so when it came to like prom or homecoming and stuff, he didn't want to go because he was too old, which was like 3 years older than me, but he didn't want to go. So we would break up during those times so I could go with a guy friend of mine. But now looking back on it, I believe that was a trauma bond, which actually messes with the chemicals in your brain with serotonin, and you do become addicted. So it was a very hard breakup for me when I was 21 and found out he cheated. So if I could go back to do anything, and he was supposed to be a minister, everybody. So my pastor handled it really well. He took his minister's license away and things. And but I wish that never happened, and I should have listened to my mother and dated other people while I was in high school. So
there is like such an interesting research then that like I studied so much on the topic, and they say that it's like heroin, literally.
Yes.
And they did like study with mice, and they try to like distract them by playing other games. So like your mom was right, you should have been, because then your brain gets distracted. Otherwise you're so like, give me that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's definitely, I can understand why you would have some regrets there and wish that you would have done things differently. But I do think that you've definitely grown from it.
Oh yeah. And Johnny Depp, let's just cheers to Johnny Depp. I don't know if y'all stand on Amber Heard's side, but he had a trauma bond.
Yeah,
He had a trauma bond. And
I
a
agree.
lot of times, you know, where she wants to throw up his weaknesses, like where he was doing drugs and alcohol. But a lot of times during those times, people revert to that or go to that to try to handle the abuse that they have every day in and out with those individuals. So
yeah, I love Johnny. You know, he's like, a few times that I met him, he was nothing but a gentleman and very kind and, you know, gentle soul. And like, it's hard to see what's happening. You know, the manipulation is like,
very hard. Okay, sorry, but that's why every single time I pick this up, I wanted a mega pint glass. I wanted to go order one. Shipping, I talked to Marianne about it. Shipping was outrageous. It was twice as much as the glass that I wanted. So I was like, well, I'll bring out my little pirate mug.
I love it.
For Pirates of the Caribbean tonight. So
love it. All right. How about you, Jeff? What would you change if there was something about your past experiences in this life that you could change? What would it be?
I think it's what Eugenia said, the instinct. I've always been kind of a quiet, kind of shy person. And I think in my later years and more mature years, I'm more so to take that leap of faith and not be, you know, worried about if it's going to work or if it's not, or feel like I have to have someone there. And that was my life as a child. I always felt like I needed someone. It was almost like a crutch. And I'm just learning in my later years that if I could change anything, in my mind, I feel like I would be further than where I am, because now the things that I desire the most, I'm going for them. I'm going for them if someone there or if they're not. I'm living my best life. So that would be the thing, just the instinct, and not let fear overtake me and freeze me and paralyze me. And it did in my younger years. It definitely did. Yeah.
So true. We're so conditioned, right? To follow the rules and the society, or like whatever our parents teach us to do. And it's interesting how you grow through generations. Like it can be a generational thing that, like, once you work on it and get out and change and like learn how to fly, it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, it's just funny because my experience in life has always been family. And I felt like anything that I wanted to achieve, I always felt like they had to be an active part in it. But what I've learned in my later years is that my purpose doesn't necessarily line up with my brother's or my sister or my mother's purpose. We all have individual purpose and path that we have to follow. And I felt like I was stagnant in that area because I felt like my purpose tied into their purpose, and it didn't. They all have different things that they like to do. And it's some of the things that I enjoy doing, they don't have a desire to do it. So I hindered myself. And once I stepped into it and said, you know, I love y'all, I'm going this way. And you know, it hurts, the tearing hurts. But once I stepped into that realm and start seeing the manifestation of what is, you know, supposed to happen with my purpose in my life, I felt the joy, I felt the happiness. And that's why I'm saying in the last probably about year or two, I've been happier than I've ever been in my life, because I'm living my best life. I'm living it out, the dreams that I always desired in my heart to achieve. And, you know, they're not there, but they see, you know, and they're happy for me. And I'm learning that they don't have to necessarily be there for me to be happy. They're still my family. And I learned to gravitate to new family, new people that I meet. And I'm good with that. So, yeah.
Just a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in a good way. So that's awesome.
I love it. Absolutely. I love it, Jeff. I'm so happy that you are pursuing your purpose and that you're not letting anybody else hold you back.
Yeah.
And your smile is so real, like it's contagious, you know, like it's so contagious. I think authentic things, we all gravitate towards them because they're real.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I guess I will give mine. If there was anything I could change, I would have more confidence I had no confidence growing up, none. And I would try to earn people's love. This was in romantic relationships. This was in friendships. This was at school. This was with family members more as an adult. I would feel like I had to earn somebody's approval or love. I would have to make myself good enough in that person's eyes. And what did that look like? It all depended based on the person. And I found that you'll end up spinning your wheels for some people, and it's never going to be enough. And for me, I internalized that rejection so much. And I thought, why am I not good enough? What's wrong with me? Why am I being rejected? Why am I being left out? You know, if it's a group of friends that leaves you out, if it's someone at school that leaves you out, if it's family that leaves you out, it happens in all different instances. And I took it very hard. And to earn people's love, I tried to make myself somebody that they would like, but that wasn't the real me. That wasn't who I was. And I realized the older I got that it doesn't matter. There's going to be people that don't like you. There's going to be people that don't accept you. But if you look for them, you're going to find them. But if you look for the people that embrace who you are and they love your authenticity, you'll find those people too. And those people, they're your chosen friends. They're your chosen family. And if I could, change anything about my past when I was younger, that would definitely be it, is to not try to earn people's love and to know that I'm good enough as I am without having to change.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to tear up. That's really good.
Yeah, that was very.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I share the same thing with you, Marianne, like been in therapy for a long time for being people pleaser. And I think as a mother, it like adds up, because you just like your genes, I think, start to like express, like take care of everybody before you. But then, for me, I learned it's like a way actually behind it is like fear and control, and you can never control other people. So like letting go, I think for me, I learned like every day I'm still learning, like on the journey, letting go and like letting people be what they are rather than trying to like adjust yourself or like control how other people feel about you.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's very common. And we're definitely not alone in those feelings. It happens and it's hard, but I know that I'm stronger because of it. And Eugenia, I know you are too. And life is a growing process. We're just going to continue to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. My acting coach here, Margie Haber, you guys should check out. She just wrote this amazing book. It's called F the Comfort Zone. And it's just so inspiring, to see people going through different things and like where actually our comfort zone is like, life is so big and so abandoned that like if we just like put ourselves small, like it it doesn't give back that love that you can take, that leap of faith.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll have to check it out for sure.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, comfort zones makes me nervous. break out.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, I've come a long way since COVID over the last 2 years with like isolation in a lot of ways. So I always felt like, I needed that person there or something, but now I enjoy myself by myself. And so it's not a people pleasing anymore. Like you, Marianne, Eugenia, we're talking about that. So I would go the extra mile to please somebody else and actually redo my schedule to be there for that person. But through COVID, I found out that person, when I needed them, was never there. So COVID, I don't know how you all feel about it, but really made me prune the branches of my contacts. So
yes. I had to do that with a friend recently. Sometimes you don't get the effort that you put in. And when it's not matched, sometimes you have to take a step back and evaluate. And that's a healthy thing to do. I really think it is.
Yeah, I definitely think like the last few years just been so much growth spiritually for everybody, and like for nature and planet. It's an amazing, it's tough time, but it's also a very important time, you know, in that sense.
I agree.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. It's amazing. I have a mentor in this young man, Julian.
Your alter ego.
It's just funny because I'm like the father figure to him, and to see him, you know, I'm helping him spiritually, but he's helping me to be me. Like he just live his life according to who Julian is. He's like, I don't care what nobody say. He paints his nails, he do all the crazy stuff. I'm like, why are you doing that crazy stuff? But when I see him, he's so genuine. People love him and he's living his best life. And I was like, dang, I wish you were my best friend when I was younger, because I know
does he have his nose pierced?
No, he haven't did that yet. But he does some pretty wild. He's a wonderful model. Like it just blows my mind. He does stuff that the normal man could not get away with, and he's still a man. You know, it's just weird. And I'm just like, how do you get away with that? Like if I did that, they would just ostracize me. But to watch him, it really is a breath of fresh air. I was like, you know what? You really are like a son to me. And I was like, you bring that extra joy and happiness out of me that I've never experienced in my life as a person growing up. And I think it's because you're so Julian, you're not trying to be nobody but yourself. And it comes through and it comes forth, and people want to be like that. And people are scared to be themselves. They feel like they always have to mimic or fit in just to fit, the clique or the crowd. And he could care less if he's in the crowd or not. He's gonna be Julian. And I think it's a wonderful thing. And I'm experiencing that in my new part of my chapter of my life. I'm experiencing people that are just being themselves. And it's good to see that. It's really good.
I want to meet Julian.
You go on his page. It's Julian Ace. I'm telling you, you will be shocked. When he gets on that runway, he blows people around. He walk in the room and they're just like, you're gorgeous. What in the world? And I just laugh and like, boy, you can't, like, you make me look like the ugly duckling. Get away from me.
Everybody right now, when the show's over, go look up Julian.
But yeah, he is a wonderful person. Aww. Yeah, he's like my son, and he always, G, help me, G, teaching how to sew. And it's just amazing. Now I'm the one that's given the wisdom, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, good thing.
I'm going to move on to our topic. And it says, as a child, what did you imagine your adulthood would look like? Does it look like you imagined, or does it look different? And I'm going to start with Emily.
I'm still waiting on my sugar daddy, is all I got to say. Like, I thought I'd have like a house in Miami, a cabin in Tennessee, a place over in Madrid. Like, yeah, no.
She said no.
No. I'm kidding in some ways, but not always. Honestly, I am 41 years old, and I'm the only person divorced in my whole family. So I really thought that by the time I'm 41, that I would have at least 2 or 3 children, because that's what I wanted. I only have 1 kid. He's precious and amazing. And I thought I'd be married because we're Kentucky girls, we get married young here in Kentucky. And I thought I'd be at least married 20 years by now. The house I live in, I bought as a flipper or a rental, which my rent is really super cheap. Well, if you want to call it rent, it's mortgage. But and then I thought I'd move on to greener pastures, bluegrass, more bluegrass in Kentucky. Which, if you don't know, the grass is so green, it's blue. If y'all have ever been to Kentucky, it's so but it's not the case. 41, and my dad is 76, 77, he's not been doing that well, and my dad still takes care of me because I'm sorry. My dad's a good provider, like excellent provider, and I've been divorced now for 10 years, and he will drive past my house in the morning to go get his coffee because I'm 2 minutes just to check to see if my house is okay. He cut my grass and everything. He cut my grass and everything up until about 2 years ago. I would try to cut my grass and he wouldn't let me do it. And I would tell him I'm going to cut my grass. He'd show up and I come home from work and my grass and stuff was already cut. Like, excellent father. I got a new roof on the home after my divorce, and I paid half of it up front, and then I was supposed to pay the other half later. So I go down after they finish to pay the other half, and then they're like, "It's already been taken care of. Do you know Wendell?" It's my dad, and he does the same for my brother too, but not so much. He's like my brother, and my brother's married, but it kind of hurts me because he says he doesn't want to pass away until he knows that I have a good husband that knows the Lord and can provide. And so yes, at 41 years old, I wish I had that. And I did have big dreams as I was younger, to think that, because my whole family, everybody's still married except for me. And I really thought my life would be in a different situation. Not that it's not about it, not like money wise, financial, but like relationship connection, and have that partner forever till death. So it's not there. With that said, I'm on Tinder. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
She's a mess.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, but I'm hopeful. I always stay hopeful. That's the only thing you can do, is stay hopeful during times like this. It's very hard to date if you're single at 41. Very hard. Very, very, very hard. All this ghosting and all this stuff is a whole other level. Like, if I didn't like somebody, I just like, hey, I don't like you. I don't want to meet you up. Like, and if you go meet somebody and then you message them, it's like they never respond back. Just respond back. Like, I don't feel it. Like, okay, well, I understand that.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Yeah. Well, I'm really happy that you have such a good dad. That's such a
amazing.
gift.
Amazing, yeah.
That is such a gift. And, I think we are better off leaving a toxic marriage than staying in it. Because you would probably be more miserable staying in it than had you left.
It was the hardest. I never give up easy. I never give up, actually. The only time I ever gave up was my marriage. And I went to, I signed us up to marriage counseling. And then we did Christian marriage counseling. We did two. And when he said, when the therapist or the counselors were kind of agreeing to what I was saying, he didn't like that. So he stopped. I continued in that therapy for 9 months. And then I just had that's it. That's it. You can't help someone if they're not ever willing to see their own faults or accept the faults to try to work on themselves.
Exactly.
So my son was 3, I didn't want him to grow up. There was times my parents argued, really. No marriage is perfect, but I mean, it was pretty bad with me and my ex-husband. Nothing physical or anything, just the arguing. And I'm like, I don't want my son to see this. I want my son to see like what I saw growing up. So the best part, or the best way I could do that, was to separate. And it was really, that's the only thing I ever gave up on. Only thing I ever quit in my whole life. Like, it was really hard because I was the only one. And then all my family was like, well, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. We've never gone through a divorce. Like, I was like doing timeshare. I didn't know there's all kinds of stuff in divorce court that you will never think about. And custody, timeshare, custodian, medical stuff, everything. and it was a whole new world to me. And but my son's good, and sadly, that's all he knows. That's all he remembers is us being separated. He doesn't remember, which I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing in a lot of ways, but it was very hard.
I gotta say something to you.
Oh no.
I know it's hard. I heard his spirit say it's hard to trust. Your trust is just, it's hard for you. But if you let go and trust, it will be someone there. But you are so guarded because of the hurt. And I'm just being obedient. I have to be obedient.
I just made a comment yesterday that says, I trust no one.
Yeah, my gift is kicking in. I don't know what's going on, but when she started talking, God, Spirit Lord started talking to me. And he said, if you just let go and live your best life, just let go. You know,
I agree with that.
Yeah, forgive and let go. And you will see what's on the back end of greatness in your life. You will live your best life. And I know it's been hard, but the trust is what you're really dealing with.
I swear yesterday I left a comment on something. I question everything and trust no one. It's exactly what I said on a comment yesterday.
Yeah, I just had to be obedient.
It's good. Thank you for being there.
I love you. I'm praying.
I love you too. It's okay. It's all good.
I love you. And thank you so much for sharing. My God, it's so vulnerable, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think you're so right. And your advice is just precious, you know? I think sometimes I personally had to go through like letting people go just because I know that they're there for you for a lesson, to learn a lesson about yourself.
True.
You know, and we're all on this journey. We're like born by ourselves, we die by ourselves, and then we meet all these amazing different people and they teach us a certain lesson. And once you understand what the lesson was, you know, you can let it go, I think, too.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Eugenia. And with that being said, do you have anything as far as when you were young, what you imagined that your life would look like in adulthood, and if it's the same?
Well, it's so funny because I grew up in a place where they tell you don't color outside the lines, and like when you grow up you have to be a lawyer, like literally everybody in our class. And I was such a creative kid, you know. My dream was at least to be a stewardess, like to fly away as fast as I can. And obviously we couldn't leave the country, you know. People were very small-minded where I grew up. They told you like, oh, you have to be doing this, and like you have to be married at this certain age, and like, you know, you can't dream basically. But somehow, I don't know, something in me was always just rebelling against it and like breaking the stereotypes and the rules and like being punished and still keep going. And I have to tell you, my life is so much more than I could ever imagine. Like I would never dream. Awesome. And it's not easy, you know, it's not like, oh, it's like a picture perfect thing, you know, it's a journey for sure. Like, of course, you know, I grew up super poor on food lines, and now I have so much in material way, but I had to learn at some point that it doesn't really matter, you know, like it's really just feeling some part of you, which is still addicted. Like I had this moment, I think 2 years ago in Cannes, and, you know, like you have everything, you know, it's all amazing. You have work and career, but, you know, you don't feel like you're of service. I really had to learn that life is to be of service. Like no matter what you do, it's not about what you get, but what you give. And it was just such a revelation, because then I found out it doesn't really matter. I don't have to control it. I just have to remember that like when I'm of service today to somebody, that like it matters. And I learned something, and it really will go up and down. And it's a beautiful adventure. Like, you know, right now I really believe in living in the moment and not even planning things, you know, and just being grateful. Like every day I'm grateful to be alive, literally. So
that's a good take on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to re-listen to this show just to hear that little segment again. and keep it. Cut it out and keep it too.
We're grateful that you're here, Eugenia.
Oh, me too, you guys. I'm so excited.
All right. So Jeff, how about you?
I always wanted to be a designer as a little kid. I think it was part of my purpose that everything that I went through in life, I don't regret. I think it was to get me to the place where I am now, to not just be able to go into the industry as a designer, but actually be able to influence, encourage people. I've always wanted to, as a child, help people. And I feel like I get the opportunity to use both of my gifts, not just with design, but use my gift in ministry. And it helps, he sends me into an environment where it may be one or two people that just need encouraging words. And he used me in that capacity. And I feel like I'm more fulfilled in that aspect than the design. I love the design. I love what, when I create and I finish the product and I look back and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm creating these pieces, but I give him the glory, give God the glory. But to be able to just encourage somebody and lift their spirits, because I know he did it for me, and I know he sent people in my life to encourage me. And it makes a difference when you're going through and nobody knows you're going through, and just one or two words make a difference in the turn of your day. And if I can be of any impact in somebody's day to change a negative into a positive, then I'm good. I'm fulfilled. I feel like I'm fulfilling my mission. So I think, both of everything I've always desired is now in my older years, and I'm happy. And I'm glad that it took me from childhood to the molestation to all that, to humble me, to make me more compassionate, more loving, to be able to make a difference in someone else's life. And I'm fulfilled. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
What was that movie?
You've overcome a lot.
Yeah, what was that movie with Mark Wahlberg that just came out recently, when he's like a pastor and he really tried, he came from nothing. I don't know if you guys seen it.
I know what you're talking about. It's based off a true story, isn't it?
Yeah. And he couldn't walk, and like he was just really wanted to be pastor, and everybody told him like, you can't do that. And like that movie just like, I was crying so much through it. The beauty of and resilience of like human, heart. It's just amazing,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Oh yeah, I
saw the previews on it. I didn't watch it, but I remember seeing the previews in the movie theaters for it. So
this is good.
Yeah.
But thinking of pastors and preachers really quick with you, Jeff, it's like, Jesus is the ultimate creator, and he was a carpenter, and he created things and he put stuff together, and that's what you're doing. So
I love that.
Yeah. You enjoy that. Jesus was out of the box.
Yeah.
In
this
a lot
is
of
new
ways.
for me,
And
the out of the box.
You are. You are out of the box.
the movie is called
The
movie is called Father Stew.
What is it called?
Father Stew. It just came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw the preview on it. I think when my son and I, what was that last movie we went to? I took him to, and I was like, we need to go see that. And I always like Mark Wahlberg though. I love the Wahlbergs, all of them. That goes back to my New Kids on the Block days. All right? I had New Kids on the Block Converse shoes with the drawstring, or not drawstrings, but the laces that had New Kids on, and they glowed in the dark. Like, so I love the Wahlbergs.
Awesome. Well, I guess I will give my answer for our third topic, as far as my childhood and what I thought I'd be doing as an adult. When I was really little, I said I wanted to be a veterinarian. Obviously, that did not happen, and I am way too grossed out by blood and guts. I can't do it. However, I did end up with a farm full of beautiful animals, which I absolutely love. So it turned out a little bit different, but I'm absolutely just as happy. I too have been divorced. I know that it's hard. I never thought that I would be a divorced person. I went to a very conservative college, thought that I was going to get married right out of college, have a family, never be divorced, be that perfect little church girl. That's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. And I'm grateful that it didn't happen that way, because I grew so much from the hurt and the difficulties. And it made me appreciate what I have now so much more, because I've been at rock bottom. I have been at rock bottom where I didn't want to live, where I just felt worthless, and where I was treated so bad, even by church people, you know, where I thought I would always be involved in this one particular church. You know, it didn't happen. I was done wrong by a lot of people that claimed to be the best type of person. And my eyes were very opened. I had gained a lot of wisdom from those experiences. And even though my life isn't exactly how I imagined it, I have a husband that now that I appreciate 10,000 times more, because I went through that. If I hadn't, I don't know that I would appreciate him or this life that we've created together like I do. So I do feel like the bad times always prepare us for better times. So, yeah. So Emily, I don't want you to lose hope.
If you're single, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, it is really hard though. I'm 41. I'm the only one that's gone through. Literally one Thanksgiving, and Charles Manson's from my hometown, if anybody wants to know about that. So literally one Thanksgiving, one of my cousins, he's a director producer too, and he lives in Brooklyn. And they all come in for Thanksgiving, and they're like, Charles Manson got married in jail this year, Emily.
What in the world?
I was like, well, good for him. Hopefully she's happy too. But honestly, I'm the only one in my whole family that's by myself. But it'll happen. I believe it will.
Yeah.
I do too.
Probably.
Yeah.
I definitely do.
I think our greatest learning experiences comes out of those intimate relationships.
Most definitely.
Even this last person I was with, I learned so much from that relationship. That's definitely red flags that I will not pick up again, ever. So
yeah,
I grew up a lot in that last relationship. They say you fall in love 3 times in life. Have y'all ever heard that?
I heard it.
No.
I forgot about it. You reminded me.
Yeah, it's like you have your first love, you have your karmic. Is that how you say that? Karmic love, and then you have your forever love. So my first love was my high school sweetheart. This last one was obviously the karmic or whatever love. So I'm ready for my forever. So we'll see.
Do you like visualize? How do you? Because
no, I don't visualize at all.
Like a lot of times, like if you're already accepted, it really, for me, it really happened in a crazy way, because my doctor said I could never have kids, and then I was just like visualizing and I had 2 kids.
You have kids, you got kids.
I think if you're just surrounded, there's so many courses on like soulmates and things like that, and I believe it. You can trick your mind into like. Yeah. Having space, like where would you go for dinner with them? And like you go for dinner there, and like just having space for somebody, in your life. And like, what does he look like? What does it feel for you to be happy? And once you're there, I think it's a miracle that things appear. Like I use it all the time. And it's amazing what we can manifest, it just, I think if you're in a space that it happened already, it really just comes. Like it happened to me so many times, I can't like tell you, with everything, jobs and other things, and it's like magic.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And I think also like as humans, we're so visual, or like whatever senses, you have to have a feeling, like how does this person feel like how do they dress, like where do they shop, like, and then it comes.
For sure. I agree with that, definitely. Well, did anybody have anything else they wanted to add this evening?
No, but this has been really fun, and I've enjoyed getting to know everybody. Like, this has been deep. This has been fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this has been a great show.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you, guys.
Happy
Thank
Friday
you guys
the 13th.
I know.
Happy Friday 13th.
Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And thank you for tuning in to the FNL Network Talk Show. See everybody later.
Thank you.
Love y'all.